This is a part 2 of a video that shows the game 1 of San Sebastian 1911. Why a part 2? Because the first 18 moves took like 20 minutes, and obviously I understand that the analysis is very important if we want to enjoy the book like it is. But at the same time it takes a long time. I don't think I have more than 20 minutes a day to dedicate to chess, so I don't think my viewers have more than that either, and they would become bored and they wouldn't remember when they stop. So I did it for them, okay? And I did it also for me, because maybe one day I will watch this video. So this is Capablanca Bernstein, the game number 1 of the book. I show you the first 18 moves, that is where we stop watching the analysis. Notice I have already remade this video a couple of times. Why? Because I made mistakes. What do you mean by mistakes? What do I mean by mistakes? Well, I forgot that a king was in g8 and I left it in h7 after an analysis, or vice versa. So I left it in h7, it should have been in g8. I left a pawn on f6 instead of bringing it back, which show me one thing, honestly. It showed me one thing. It showed me that we are all too lazy to watch the games on a board, because we watch them on the computer. On the computer you don't make mistake, because when you go back from an analysis you go to that move and the computer doesn't make a mistake. But for us, when you do it on a board, it's very easy to leave the pieces in an incorrect position. And so it showed me that we became lazy as a memory, because I remember that a few years ago when I was playing in tournaments, I did remember well the positions. Now I don't. And so that honestly made me upset. Okay, I'm showing you the first 18 moves because it's also a way to retain our chess memory of this game, that I think it's important. It's a beautiful game, and I will show you why. So, castle, rook e1, h6, bishop h4, knight a7, change, queen d3, and rook a b8, and then there is b3, knight g5, rook a d1, queen e5, queen e3, knight e6, knight c e2, queen a5, knight f5, and here there was this big chunk of analysis that followed part 1 that I didn't show you because it takes time, okay? There are many lines commented by Mieses and Stockfish, and so it's kind of interesting to see them if you really want to understand the game and why this is a critical position. Everything revolves around the idea if you can take this pawn or not, okay? Because then also this will fall, and then is this enough counterplay, enough advantage for black to justify to let white attack on the king side, yes or no? And the attack on the king side will be successful, yes or no? And so here you need to analyze. So if you want, I tell you the move that Bernstein did. Bernstein played knight c5, but is not so good. Queen takes a2 must be really evaluated. So you want to take the next 20 minutes, pause the video, do all your analysis, and then compare to what I will show you from the book. Okay, so this will also show you if you are a chess player or not, because you want to know the truth. You want to know queen takes a2, does it work? Yes or no? Okay, so it seems that Mieses gave this analysis: queen c3 because he's attacking here, right, and protecting this. Queen a6. Queen a6 is not the best move. We will see that Stockfish found this to be the best move. Knight f4. Why? Because if you take this, checkmate. f6 to take away the checkmate, but white plays queen g3. Okay. At this point, you need to understand how does this thing continue after queen g3, right? So g5, knight g6, rook f7, knight takes h6, which seems is not the right move, because the right move is queen h3. And since probably this is the line found by Stockfish, I would think it's a little better that we see this line, okay? So queen h3, h5, e5, knight g7 supporting the pawn, knight f, e7 giving check, king h7, and queen takes d7. So this is why Stockfish says queen h3 is the best, because this evaluation says that white is winning. Okay, so this is the best thing for white. Now let's go back and let's hope that I put the pieces in the right place. Okay, we are in this position. Again, in the game was played this, but we need to understand if this is okay or not. It seems after queen takes a2, there is queen c3 is correct, because attacks and defend that for a second, right? But the right move is not queen a6, but queen a3. Why queen a3 is the right move found by Stockfish? Because when you play this, knight f4, trying to remove the defender of g7 and give checkmate, what happens is that black can play queen c5. So you understand the problem. If he takes here, you take there. If he takes here, the advantage white has gone away, right? So that's the important thing. So white continues with this, because if you take, again, checkmate, right? But that's why it was important here and here, because now we can play this and defend this directly, okay? But now this is pin, so white can play knight takes h6, king h7, knight takes e6, bishop takes e6, queen takes e5, d takes e5, and here there is knight f5 with an evaluation of white is better by Stockfish. So what should have black played in that position that we analyze queen takes a2? Let me bring the position back. Okay, we are back. We know that for this move, knight c5, it gives white an advantage and is dubious, but at a certain point you need to decide what is the right move, no? And obviously the thing is, none of the commentators of that time knew it, in the sense that they disprove queen takes a2 as good, Also, if they didn't find the best defense by black, that was queen f3, c5, e5, okay? And that's okay. But what do you play for black here? So it seems Stockfish recommends rook f e8 and give the following line: knight e g3, knight c5, rook d4, rook b5, and then there is h3, and white has a slight advantage. Okay, that's it. That's the line that Stockfish gives. Now let's go back and see the game. So instead we have seen that 100 years later Stockfish finds this move and gives a line, okay? But the point is, can you imagine, in that time they were hell-bent on justifying this and finding this, and they didn't even thought of queen a3 with that maneuver, and that's kind of interesting. In any case, the game continues with knight c5, okay? To which white plays knight e d4, and this is kind of important because this knight, yes, is defending this, but is also threatening here to give a fork, right? So that's kind of important. And this is one of the things, another mistake that I made in a previous video. I forgot the king on h7, like in a previous video I forgot pawn on f6. So king h7, and now there is, however, why did I forgot the king on h7? Because here I show a couple of lines. One was with king h8, one was what happened with bishop takes f5, and then the last one was rook f e8. Okay, let's start with king h8. King h8, because it seems that you need to find a move that is still good, okay? After king h8 there is a3, threatening this, knight e6, knight takes h6, knight takes d4, queen takes d4, because now you cannot take since the king is here, right? Queen h5, knight f5, bishop takes f5, e takes f5, queen takes f5, queen takes a7, queen takes e2. I think this line clearly is made by Stockfish, but he didn't say it. Queen takes c7, queen takes b3, and queen takes d6. And here the evaluation of this huge and long line is that white is better. In that time, when I made the second video that I made a mistake, I stop and try to evaluate if it's convenient or not to exchange the two rooks for the queen and how that ends up. Honestly, guys, I think you should play this position against a computer or a human sparring partner because it's interesting, okay? It's interesting. Now let me return back and show you the other lines. Okay, here there are two continuations to explore. One is bishop takes f5, the problem is knight takes c6, forking the queen and the rook, and is given as a decisive advantage for white. Or the other line is rook f e8, to which continue with queen g3, bishop takes f5, knight takes f5, knight e6, because obviously is stopping the checkmate here, but knight takes h6 check, king f8, and knight f5, and here the author didn't write the source, but I think it's Stockfish, gives as evaluation a final decisive advantage for white. Okay, so this was the problem. Now let's return back because we want to see what happened next. Okay, so after knight ed4, black played king h7, and we saw that rook f8, bishop takes f5, blah blah blah, and the king h8, but king h7 was the move. Now, what do you think you would play as white? Try to pause the video and find the move. Okay? Here Capablanca played g4. This move is given as dubious, probably by Stockfish. However, the author of the book did a great job because he found Tarrasch, a contemporary of Capablanca, a little older than Capablanca, that made this move doubtful. Now the problem is this, I just listened a podcast by Grandmaster Kolovic that he said he spent 3 months studying Capablanca's games. He said he studied about 200 games, and this g4 was a typical move that he found in Capablanca's game. This g4 can be found also in Botwinnik's game, and Grandmaster Kolovic says, look, few years ago we had this incredible breakthrough with AlphaZero that won against Stockfish in a series of matches, and g4 was one of the moves that everyone found incredible and new and never saw before. In reality, Capablanca, Botwinnik, our world champion already played that. In reality, there is also a book by New in Chess about g4. So, that move is not new at all. However, as you can see, this game is more than 100 years old. Nobody raised, apart Tarrasch, raised the doubt and said, look, that this move is not really good. In fact, here it says that white should have played queen g3, g6, knight e7, rook b e8 with a even game. And here is Tarrasch in Sanchez. Sanchez is a biography author that wrote a biography about Capablanca with a lot of games published by McFarland. Okay? So I think this is interesting. And Stockfish says that move g4 gives away completely the advantage that white had. But the problem here is different, right? The problem is that this game is played between humans. And humans, when they see a move like that, they think, oh my god. You know, it's an attack, it's going to happen. So one thing is a computer engine that doesn't have feelings and is not scared of some moves. And one thing is a human. So psychologically, this move may have given away an objective advantage as evaluated by a computer. But for a human being, that's a very strong move, right? And it would have been interesting to see if Tarrasch would have been to refute that move in the game. Okay? So let me check that I left everything correct, because I made a lot of mistakes tonight in putting the position back. Okay, I think the position is correct. Here, after g4, black continued with rook b e8. Again, the author of the book did a good job, because obviously he interrogated Stockfish, and Stockfish found that knight e6 and c5 were better moves than rook b e8. Again, that we like it or not, the reality is what it is. However, in this position, there is still one thing that you need to know. Okay, let me show you. For those that are fond of picking up pawns, well, this is at this point is really poison, okay? Because after this, you go here, and this conclude the thing for the queen, okay? The queen is dead. So you cannot take that pawn, okay? That's the important thing to understand here, for those that were questioning it. So rook b e8, f3, knight e6, knight e2, and now yes, queen takes a2. What's the difference? Because once you play knight e2, the pawn c2 is not protected, so if you try to do that, the queen can try to escape, okay? But here it says this is very dangerous. Black should attempt to exchange the queen with queen b6. So instead of queen takes a2, he should have played queen b6. And after that, so instead of this move, queen b6, okay? Because, oops. And then white has only a slightly better game, but without any specific advantage. However, Stockfish does not fear the capture on a2 here as Mieses does. Who is Mieses? Mieses is the guy who wrote this book originally in 1911 or 1912, once the tournament was over, and this is practically a republication of that book with more information, with what we gave her from different sources more than 100 years later. How does the game continue? With knight e g3, and of course white could have played this, that maybe was a little better, because so you cannot capture that, okay? And of course black captures, which always also Fischer was fond of it, but here it says this is a mistake, the mistake, okay? So this is the mistake. Let's see what black should have done. So you see guys, everybody wants to improve in chess, everybody wants the computer to tell them the right moves, but it cannot work like that. You need to learn to analyze and understand why this move is a mistake and what black should play. Okay? So here Lasker said that the move was this and this that should have saved black. Okay? But Stockfish likes the capture, as the second line shows. So let's see. There is A and B, okay? He says f6, Stockfish says f6 is not so good, it's dubious. And Lasker, a world champion, said this is good. So can you imagine? Queen d2, queen a6, okay? Now he also says that rook f7 is dubious, so this is Stockfish, because rook a1, queen b2, f4, knight takes f4, queen takes f4. So f4 was made to take away this square, so that the queen couldn't escape after you play rook b1, okay? That's the idea. Okay, so let's see, queen takes c2, and queen takes f4, queen takes c2, and now there is knight h5, and practically white has a decisive advantage. So here white is winning. That's incredible, right? Of course, the problem is you try to do this, remember that there is this, so maybe you don't survive that. I don't know. Interesting. Let's go back to that position and see, okay? So here in the book we have something strange, because he says that queen takes c2 is practically okay, and give this line that is the same that is given in the book, because watch, there is rook c1, that is the same in the book, queen b2, and now there is knight h5. In the comment at this point he gives that black has an advantage, black is better. In the game, black played rook h8. At this point, it's a mistake, gives white an advantage. So, what should have black played? Because this is the problem, right? And here we are at 26 minutes. So, I will stop at this point and give the analysis, because it's big, in the next video. Sorry, we are already at part 3 of this game, but it's better to divide it because it's a long analysis.